Hello there, I'm Kid Champagne Matthew Habermann, and it's time for another edition of Nostalgia Time with Kid Champagne. Bring you right back to Camp Nostalgia. This is the final episode of Camp Nostalgia, closing out the camp season. And I just had to bring back one of my favorite movies that I just love to talk about. We talked it back last year. I'm happy to talk about it again, and I'm talking about the Sleepaway Camp franchise. And it is one of my favorite, and even this is, I feel it's even better because this is going to be a great one. And not only Sleepaway Camp holds just a piece of my heart that I can relate to Sleepaway Camp, but we have some great guests on with me tonight. First, my good friend and fellow New York City Ghostbuster, the host of Under the Radar, my good friend Randy Unger. Randy, how are you?
I'm great, Matt. Thank you so much for having me back.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad to have you back. And also with me, big fan of Sleepaway Camp, Thomas Pugliese. Thomas, how are you?
I'm good. It feels so good to be back after all this time.
Oh yeah, and I couldn't talk about Sleepaway Camp without you.
Thank you very much.
Also with me, the webmaster of the official Sleepaway Camp website, Jeff Hayes. Jeff, welcome back. Thank you. It's been a while.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be back with you campers.
Indeed it is. Oh man, we have so much to talk about. Not only you've been so involved with the franchise, I'm glad to have you back on with this. And also a very special guest, actress from Sleepaway Camp II, Unhappy Campers, Amy Fields. Amy, how are you?
I am
Welcome.
great. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so happy to have you on this. First off, I've been a fan of the Sleepaway Camp movies. I've seen all four of them: Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers, Sleepaway Camp Teenage Wasteland, and Return to Sleepaway Camp. And one of my favorites is actually, and it is Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers.
Thank you.
Welcome. So this is going to be great. So for one thing, we have definitely talked about this last year. Now on Nostalgia Time, and I'm going to be putting it this way, the most listened to episode on Nostalgia Time with Kid Champagne is actually at the highest, is the Sleepaway Camp when we talked about the first time. So
Wow.
I'm really happy that it just got so successful, and I'm sure it's going to be brought up to that high success again. So I just had to talk about it again. And one thing is, you know, I can definitely relate to Sleepaway Camp because I used to be a Sleepaway Camp camper. I went to a Sleepaway Camp years ago when I was a kid. So some of it, watching the movies, I can relate to it for what happens at a Sleepaway Camp. Not that I would love that, luckily I never had that kind of incidents at a Sleepaway Camp. I don't think anyone wants that.
It was a much simpler time. You know, I kind of miss the days where all we had to worry about was some crazy person in the woods trying to kill us instead of what's going on these days.
Or trying to kill you with oatmeal.
Or that. Oh God, that stuff.
Oh no.
It's terrible.
That'd probably be better than fire.
Yeah, especially since we had to do that oatmeal scene a few times. It was yeah, no.
That was torture.
Yeah.
I can definitely relate, and hopefully none of that ever happens at any Sleepaway Camp ever. Except Camp Crystal Lake.
Well, there is that.
Oh, I see that. I see that, Jeff. So for all that has been listening, let's go back to the first film, which is Sleepaway Camp, directed and written by a creative genius, as we all know, Robert Heltzick, starring Felicia Rose, Catherine Kami, Paul D'Angelo, Mike Helen, and Christopher Collette. And as we know, this goes back to where in the beginning, it falls on the story of Angela. She gets sent to Camp Arawak. Angela is just like this outcast, not really outgoing. Her brother is more outgoing. He has been to Camp Arawak before, but all of the incidents, there's been some incidents where there's been accidents through the camp. Some were deaths from a kid being stung by bees,
Yeah.
drownings, as well as death by hair iron.
Yeah, it's funny. I still see, some people mention that and laugh about that on Facebook and stuff. People have not forgotten about that.
No, they have not. And it just comes back to me like, just the way, like, after seeing these movies, it's like these killings are entertaining, yet very creative. I think we all agreed that they've all been very creative. Going back to this in a roundtable discussion, what was your favorite killings in the first Sleepaway Camp film? I'll start, Amy. I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think I'd have to stick with the curling iron. I remember hearing about that back when I was young, and people were just getting to know the characters in the film, and somebody told me about that. I was like, what? Really? It was interesting to hear about. So that kind of stuck with me.
That's great. Jeff, what about for you?
I think the final murder, because it was so shocking. Paul was such a good guy, and you couldn't believe that Angela just cut his head off. So that was, pretty shocking.
I mean, yeah, it was very shocking. Not to mention what we will be talking about in just a moment, which was the most mouth-dropping part of the movie. I think we all know this pretty well. We'll get into that in a moment. Thomas, what is your favorite killing from Sleepaway Camp, the first film?
Probably be Artie the chef's when he got the pot of boiling water poured all over him, because seeing his skin boil all up on his face, his arms, him screaming at the top of his lungs just freaked me out.
Not to mention that was I hate for how they did. He got exactly what he deserved. I'm sorry, but that was justice right there.
Oh yeah, he's a character that you don't feel bad for with his death. Unlike Paul,
I don't think he died. He didn't die. He got severely burned.
Yeah,
true. We see him get taken away into the ambulance, but we don't actually see him actually.
Yeah. I'll have to.
For you, Randy.
I'll have to agree with Thomas. Even though it wasn't a death, it was very graphic, very memorable. And you see, the boils bubbling on his face. It looked so real and so cheesy at the same time. I love that. And also, I think when the head counselor, Mel, I think his name was, when he gets the shot in the neck with the bow with the arrow.
Yeah.
Just really great practical effects, and it just looked real. It looked really, really, really good.
I think that still holds up to this very day.
Yeah. So those two, the boiling skin and the arrow through the neck for me.
And let's not forget about that water snake that comes out of Kenny's mouth.
Oh yes,
good.
That was a good one too.
As much as nothing more shocked me more than the ending of Sleepaway Camp. I think it's the most shocking ending of all of them. I know I didn't much say it, but I think we're all ready for the spoiler. This is part 2. We can give spoilers on this one. I'm going to give it, Jeff, you could take away the ending.
You want me to just describe what happened, or?
Yes, describe the ending.
Okay, so we come on the beachfront and we hear some humming, and from the back it looks like a girl, but we're not positive. But then all of a sudden she stands up and turns around, and it's Angela, and we find out that this 13-year-old girl is the killer. But now here's the kicker: she has a penis.
Mhm.
For some reason, that's the part everybody remembers.
I wonder
And that's
why.
the jaw-dropping thing. Oh my God, she's a boy. And then we get the flashback from Aunt Martha, as you know, it comes up that was actually from it, is that Peter was the one that survived and not really Angela, and that Aunt Martha turned Peter into Angela in the end.
Pretty shocking ending for its time, especially, but even
Oh.
now, I mean, it's pretty shocking.
Yeah.
It is
Absolutely.
pretty shocking.
And
The best ending I've ever seen.
and the expression on Angela's face, just her mouth, is like frozen in this weird, like, I don't know what she was. Yeah, very disturbing character, very disturbing ending.
And
Um,
if I can just say, that's one of the things I love about being part of this franchise the most, in today's society, in the fact that we're embracing the transgender culture, and nobody really talked about that back then. So I'm glad that we're talking about it now and we're embracing it. So just that small facet of it, I'm very proud to be a part of this.
Mhm.
And in a way, Sleepaway Camp was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And look, and now for everything for transgenders' rights, it is improving, and I hope it improves more. I do respect the transgender movement. I think everyone does here.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, we just need to keep creating opportunities for them and hear their stories. And it's a great time, and Sleepaway Camp just invited that culture into it ahead of its time when it was very minimal and unheard of. Now, but if there was anything, see Sleepaway Camp. It's a great film, and it can just relate.
Yeah, totally. It's probably that scene at the end of Sleepaway Camp 1 is probably the first time people even thought that might have been a thing, because so many people that felt a different way than they were born were still in the closet. So
Yeah, and nobody talked about it,
no,
Yeah.
no,
it's kind of forced people to have to talk about it.
yeah.
And that is something to definitely talk about. And I mean, if I could ever interview Robert Heltzig one time to ask those questions, I'm sure we'll get some great answers.
I don't know,
Right.
maybe. He doesn't like to give much away.
Yeah,
To a
Robert.
man who has worked with the comedian genius himself.
True.
Overall, actually, this question to Amy. Amy, when was the first time that you seen Sleepaway Camp?
The first time I saw it,
Yes.
probably not that long ago, actually, with the whole thing with streaming and whatnot. I think that's probably the first time I actually got my hands on it was through a streaming channel here, probably about, I don't know, maybe about 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I
Very
know. It's crazy that it been so long and I hadn't even seen it, but yeah.
And now we're going to be getting into the film I want to talk about, the film that you were involved in, Sleepaway Camp II: Unhappy Campers.
Yes.
Now for this, Sleepaway Camp II: Unhappy Campers takes 5 years after the events of the first film. And it starts with a counselor, Phoebe, tells a group of boys at a campfire about the tale of what happened at Camp Arawak. And it also tells how Angela that it sounds that she went to an institution, and where she fully got a sex change from being a man to fully a woman. But then through it is that, but Angela is secretly a counselor over at
Camp Rolling Hills.
At Camp Rolling Hills, and she makes her way in as one of the head counselors. And we go through it. It first starts with Angela forces Phoebe to go back to the cabin after the pair get into an argument, and Angela hits Phoebe over the head with a log before cutting out her tongue. That's a nice way to die.
Yes. The first of many.
Now we got here the next day, campers Molly, Allie, Merrick, Demi, Leah, and twins Brooke and Jody. I know that you were one of the twins.
Mm-hmm.
Questioned Angela about the whereabouts of Phoebe. To cover them to not kill her, she just said, "I sent them home."
She was a clever bitch.
Now, which character did you play? Did you play Jody, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, actually, I was originally cast as the other sister, but
Right.
because of her adult content scene with the boy in the woods, my parents were not okay with that, and I was still underage. So thank goodness, they decided to cast me as Jody instead.
But yeah, I do remember that scene where that I think it was Angela catches catches Brooke making out, and then Angela then catches you. They were smoking marijuana and drinking alcohol afterwards, and then after a moment, they found Brooke wakes up and knowing that your character was charred to death. You're just Now, if I can put it into that scene, was there like a scene where Angela, where you were about to be charred? Did they try and film that?
No, I wish they had, but no. Again, back to being underage, there were laws in Georgia in place that if it could be avoided, underage actors were not allowed to be on set during violent or sexually explicit scenes. So that's why they had to film it the way they did, where she wakes up and just sees my torso already burnt. And I had to be offset when they filmed that scene. And I just remember being way offset and hearing her blood-curdling screams through the woods. And I was like, oh, she needs an award for that, because that was the best scream ever.
So the actress who played Brooke was a little bit older than you?
Yes, Carol, I believe she's not much older than me, but she was probably, I'm not sure exactly how old she is, and I don't want to, I think that's for her to tell, not me. So, but she was of age, so she was allowed to do those scenes.
Wow, that's definitely pretty interesting. How did you hear about this role, and how did you audition for this?
No.
Well, I was a professional working child actress in Atlanta, and I was asked to audition for the role, and then eventually got cast. Like a lot of actors that were involved with this process. However, Carol was working on the set, and they invited her to take the role once they decided to cast me as the other sister.
Oh, that's very interesting. I mean, and I know like the nickname for it is the Shit Sisters.
Yes.
What made that thing for in the film, the Shit Sisters? If you can describe the characters for the Shit Sisters.
Well, we were just, just, I don't know, how do I describe it? Just, we were shits.
And their last name was Shote.
Right.
So Shote, shit.
That's true. Yes.
I
Sorry.
guess
It was a rhyming name.
kind of like female versions of Beavis and Butthead. I don't know.
Yeah. And it is funny because it wasn't much of a stretch for me because I was kind of a partier metalhead check back in the day anyway. So, well, I still am, but I've calmed down in my old age.
Have you kept in contact with the actress who played your sister?
Yeah, I have. Actually, she lives in North Georgia and has her own winery now.
Oh,
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it right offhand. We had a little, well, it wasn't a little, it was actually a pretty big reunion kind of set up at Days of the Dead right before the shutdown. Like it was February 2020. And we did a reunion get together at Days of the Dead. It was so much fun. And that was the first time a lot of us have seen each other since we filmed it.
Cool. Was Pamela there?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay. Do you guys do you yourself, Amy? Do you do a lot of these events, these Comic-Cons or horror fests?
I would love to do more of them. We were actually kind of getting up some steam to do some more of them when the pandemic hit. Hopefully we'll get to do some more. I really, really enjoyed it. I had a blast. I love meeting the fans. They are so amazing, and they do reach out to me, and they're just really great people, and they're having so much fun. They're living their best lives, and I'm honored that I get to be a small part of that.
Nice.
well, I hope that one of those Comic-Cons you can come up to New York.
That would be awesome. I love New York.
Nice.
I was actually born in New York. I was born in Nyack, New York.
Oh, that's not that far from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt and I were in Queens. We're in Forest Hills.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, New York is one big. I think we're also a fan of Jason Takes Manhattan as well. But also, like, which was good in Sleepaway Camp II, Unhappy Campers, it did pay a little tribute to three of the great slashers from some great films. Jason, of course, Jason Voorhees,
Of course.
Freddy Krueger, and Leatherface.
Yes.
And I mean, that scene was just great. And like, Angela was just like, just tearing them all apart. And in the end, Angela wins because she is the best. Like, and I just think that that scene just puts out like, it pays a homage. I mean, Sleepaway Camp, I do relate it to a little bit too of Friday the 13th because it involves a camp, but Sleepaway Camp just involves more of the camp than the killer.
Yes.
And it deals more with the actual campers and kind of like, focuses on them and being heroes. You don't really see that in any of the Friday the 13th movies. They're just all about, Jason and his mother.
Yeah, it takes it from the perspective of the camping experience.
Mm-hmm. Well put.
Thank you.
And yeah, that it definitely feels for the camping experience. Have any of you ever been to a summer camp, like when you were a child? Amy, have you?
Yeah, I actually I went to a sleepaway camp. It was a theater camp. An organization that where a lot of the actors in Atlanta kind of get their start. It's called the Atlanta Workshop Players, and they do musical theater, and they have a summer camp every year. And it was I think probably one of the first years that they did it that I was there, and it was a week, and all the regular campfire singing songs, and because it was a theater camp, we put together a production, and it was good all American fun without the killers, but
Wet hot American summer.
yeah, that.
I mean, I was the one that kind of went to a camp in the ways of Angela. I was the one that went to a full out summer camp years ago. The name of the camp was Crane Lake Camp, up in Massachusetts. It was really like I was sleeping, in a bunk cabin full of guys. I mean, it was more like if you knew everyone, or you are one of those guys that fit in, you would have a good time and it would be easy for you. For someone like me, it really wasn't. Well, however, for most of the parents, they send you up there. Because they're hoping that you would gain independence and you would learn new things. In those kind of general summer camps, you either make it or break it. However, I'm not the one that came out and been like crazy like Angela, but I mean, I stood my ground and everything. In all arounds, I think it made me a better person for what I'm at today. It made me know what the friends that I really want to hang out with and who are really true and who are not.
So you kind of had like the Addams Family experience.
I would say so, yeah.
I love that movie.
From Addams Family Values.
Yes.
like the other kids, like, I'll be the victim all your life. I think for all of it, Jeff, you worked on the production on one of the movies of Return to Sleepaway Camp. Did that feel like, for the kids, to make it feel like an actual sleepaway camp?
Oh, absolutely. I lived on that camp for like 2 months, and most of us lived on the camp. So, it was just like summer camp. It was such a fun time making the movie. I mean, yeah, you had, to do the professional thing, but, there was also a lot of time for fooling around and just having fun, living and sleepaway camping.
There was actually one thing, because I remember it being going on the website, there was some like the making of Sleepaway Camp, and it showed some of the actors, like, they'd never been to camp, and it felt like, even though camp was not really in session, they felt like they were really at a summer camp. Some of them have not been there before, and they felt like it was really how the camp experience, because you were living it.
Yeah. No, a lot of people felt that way. I know a lot of people that I've talked to over the years that worked on the movie said, it was just like being at camp as a kid.
Amy, did it feel that way on Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers?
Well, I live here, so I went home every night, so not so much for me, but some of the people that were here from LA or New York or whatever, they stayed on the campground. So I'm sure it probably did for them also.
Oh, wow. I mean, I'm pretty sure. So they would actually like stay in the cabins that they were in filming.
Not in the cabin so much, but there was like a separate building that had it was kind of like a motel setup. So, I mean, some people stayed on the grounds. So I can't really speak about that experience, but it was fun being in a actual campground setup, and the scenes like with the dinner hall room where they sang the Happy Camper song, and then the first scene that you were talking about earlier where we're all wondering where one of the campers went to, and Angela says, "Oh, I had to send her home." That was a long day shoot or evening shoot, and so it was kind of like, oh yeah, the girls are all hanging out kind of situation that you get at camp. So it was fun that way.
Weren't there only a couple cabins that they actually used in the movie?
Yeah.
And like they redressed them a couple times?
Yeah, I think there were actually only 2 cabins that they used. One for the girls, one for the boys.
Right.
Sorry, Cat.
Well, that's definitely how it's always been in every single camp. There's always, they separate the girls from the boys. Oh, but not to mention like for how it is, because I know in like every single summer camp, the boys always try to get into the girls' bunk, and well, we all know what happens there. I'm sure it's happening. I'm sure it still happens at the camp that I went to. I don't know.
I'm sure it probably does. Boys will be boys.
And then, so basically for my review is for Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers, it is actually one of my favorite out of the 4. I still like that. Of course, out of respect, I mean, the whole story from the comedic genius of Sleepaway Camp is definitely good. The Sleepaway Camp 2 definitely tells a great continuation of how Angela and more of the truth, and we get to know Angela more, and also we get to see another side of the camp and how other campers react. So it's definitely one of my favorites out of the 4.
I hear that a lot. A lot of people seem to like to, you can't recreate one for numerous reasons, but I think people enjoyed 2, on its own merits.
Yeah. It's just really funny and really, very silly humor, tongue in cheek. And I think Pamela Springsteen was like the perfect villain. You would never expect her to be the murderer, and she really sold it. And
yeah, I thought she was great.
Yeah. I mean, like, I've never been a fan of when they recast people, but Pamela Springsteen was a great replacement for Felissa Rose. So she was just really fun. She was so entertaining. Just loved her so much.
Amy, what was it like working with her?
With Pamela, actually, I didn't get to work with her a whole lot. She was always very nice. She was quiet. I think she took it very seriously. And but she was super, super nice. And Renee Estevez was also super, super nice. A pleasure to work with both of them, for sure.
Great. And you need that collaboration and teamwork on a set. So I love hearing about that. Nice.
Yeah, but she was very easygoing, very down to earth. Like no air of celebrity about her at all, actually.
So you would agree that having a good chemistry with the cast will make the film go smoothly.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's rough being on a movie set anyway. So when someone is difficult, it just makes it that much harder on everybody. Even, you know, especially if you're in the same scene with that person and you have to work intimately with that person. It's not fun for anybody. But it's equally that much better when people are easy to get along with, fun to hang out with, and, you know, good to work with.
Thomas, what did you think of Sleepaway Camp 2?
Oh, I absolutely loved Sleepaway Camp 2. I mean, like when I saw the first movie, I immediately wanted to watch the second movie. So I watched it the next day, and like I just really enjoyed it, and pretty much fell in love with it as much as I fell in love with the first movie. And I've watched it, like, you know, quite a lot of times over the years, and like I still like popping it into the Blu-ray player every once in a while.
That's great. Now, I know for this, but we do have Amy here. I don't normally do this. I usually wait to the end, but I am going to pop a toast right now, and we're going to go to and then we'll discuss Return to Sleepaway Camp next, but to a toast to Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers. We hope that many more will watch it. And I think it's on one of the streaming services right now. I think it's on Shudder. If not, pick up a DVD and see it. To Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers, and to Amy Fields as well.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know we were drinking. I don't have a drink.
Don't worry about it.
It's okay.
And now on to this, which is actually, so one thing is, my favorites out of the franchise is definitely Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers, and Return to Sleepaway Camp. Yeah, I actually enjoyed that film. I mean, not to give anything on Sleepaway Camp 3 Teenage Wasteland, I think it's a great film, but I know it's a continuation off from Sleepaway Camp 2. But I just felt like it was the same thing from Sleepaway Camp 2. It was mostly a repeat. But also what it is that I like Return to Sleepaway Camp. This is brought back Robert Heltzig as the writer and the director, and who was also working on that film. Jeff, you were part of Return to Sleepaway Camp as a producer, and it was just, I gotta say, it was a well thought out film, and I just enjoyed it. And I've seen your work in the film.
I thought you were the killer.
Hell no, I just came to get you so we could start filming behind the scenes.
Where are we going?
To the lake.
And I seen like what you do with your website, and it's just so great, and you're keeping the fan base alive.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that.
So as we know, this comes back to so as we know, for the plot of this film, this goes at Camp Manabe, and the movie shows it's more of a, it's not based off of Angela, though Angela is referenced. This movie takes for an outcast camper by the name of Alan, and he's kind of like this unpopular, very antisocial camp. Jeff, can you describe Alan for me?
You got that good. He is kind of like an antisocial kid.
Tell us about your character. Tell us about Alan.
Alan he's immature, and he has rheumatic fever that he likes to milk for all it's worth. And he likes his stepbrother Michael. In fact, he loves his stepbrother Michael. But Michael doesn't love him back.
You know, he's the kid at camp that nobody likes and everybody wants to pick on. But because he's physically kind of imposing, he's a bigger kid, you know, he also kind of turns around and does a little bit of the bullying himself.
Yeah, where all the counselors are like, don't pick on Alan, yet Alan is pretty much picking on all the other campers, and it's kind of like a lose-lose situation here. And for it, but also during that time of the camp, there's also parts that are going on. We have among one of the is his stepbrother, who is actually one of the people that has been to camp before, and he's one that is popular. He fits in, but still, Alan still doesn't, and sometimes safety is in order. He doesn't quite get the aspect of things.
Yeah, he doesn't get the social cues.
Right. And also in it, we have pretty much the owner of it, played by Vincent Pastor. He's a kind of owner just like how it was, like he tries to cover up things that happened at the camp when automatically that there's these killings, and it brings back to the reference of what happens with Angela at Camp Arawak.
Every time something happens around here, he thinks he's back in Camp Arawak.
And we just seen, and Jeff, you worked on some of those killings. What stood out as most of the creative killings on Return to Sleepaway Camp?
One of the ones I really enjoyed was the bunk bed murder, where the killer jumps on top of the bunk bed, and then you find out that there's a bunch of nails underneath the bed, and then it goes smooshing down into the camper. I thought that was a real creative one that Robert came up with, and I got to pump the blood on that scene, so that was fun for me too.
You pumped the blood on that?
Yeah, I was there behind the curtain with it was like a Budweiser sprayer, and it was filled with fake blood, and when the time came, you hit go, and there goes all the blood.
I still think that's a very painful way to die.
Oh, yeah. And I also like the stick through the eye that TC got when he was looking through the floor in the cabin, and all of a sudden the broom handle comes up and whacks him in the eye, and he's like flailing around the cabin with the thing stuck in his eyeball.
That is still that, and that is also a very painful way to die. And I know I've seen you in a couple of scenes. There's one scene where I've seen you as a camp counselor at a lunch table.
Yeah, I was kind of like the guy that, like, whenever you needed somebody extra in the background, Robert would be like, all right, Jeff, will you suit up and go do this? So like at one point I was a camper, one point I was a counselor, one point I was playing tennis. I just pretty much was a jack of all trades. I even got to shoot a paintball gun.
Was that your first time shooting a paintball gun?
It actually was. Yeah.
They used paintballs for that scene?
Technically, when we shot it and the camera was rolling, it was just air popping out. But there were a bunch of paintballs that were brought. But when Alan actually gets hit, that wasn't really all of us nailing him with the guns. That was all done by one of the special effects guys. But yeah, whenever you see like the guns look like they're shooting, usually it's just air blowing out of them.
Man, that is amazing. Was it one of the best times working on a film?
Oh yeah, I mean, I had a blast. I mean, I grew up with the Sleepaway Camp movies and loved them so much. I always felt that they were like the cream of the crop when it came to creative murder sequences, and I always liked creative murder sequences. And so I actually went and I tracked everybody down and got everybody to come back and to do it again. I found Robert Hiltzik, and Felissa, and Johnny Tierston, and got the group back together, and everybody was like, yeah, we'll do another one. And so it was great.
Well, so for you, so if it wasn't for you, that movie wouldn't have happened.
Well, I mean, I'm sure eventually a Sleepaway Camp 4 would have probably happened one way or another, but I don't know that, it would have been that same type of movie. I mean, this was, we designed to make this movie a direct sequel to the original, and, to pick up that same type of vibe that the original had. And the second two had more of like a fun horror comedy type vibe. And the first Sleepaway Camp was more of like a kind of a little bit darker and moodier type of a vibe. It was, it was fun, but Robert wanted to go back to the original elements of what he felt made Sleepaway Camp what it was.
Jeff, are we going to get a part 5?
That's the plan. There is a script.
What?
Yeah, it's technically a reboot, but yeah, it's actually really good, and I think it's got a whopper of an ending that you can't ever do that original ending again. I mean, that's a one of a kind, but I think for today's time, the ending on this is really smart and something that will leave an impact on people. So I mean, this talks, and Robert has a specific plan and a specific budget that he wants for this. We're still hoping that it happens, but it's got to be with the right studio and people that kind of look at it the same way that Robert does, because he doesn't want to repeat some of the problems that he ran into towards the end with Return to Sleepaway Camp, and not getting to finish the special effects the way that he had originally intended, because some of the money actually got pulled out at the last second.
Has the script been written?
Yes. Yep. Robert wrote it.
Nice.
And maybe Amy make an appearance in it.
I'm in.
Right.
I'm in.
I would love to be an
Right.
extra in this.
I'm already,
I would love to be
I'm
an
already
extra.
like, please.
Please, right here.
Any grill scenes, Amy's automatically in.
Yeah, and I'm an adult now. So.
Yep.
Yeah, should be sitting
Time
for
to bring in the barbecue sauce.
Yeah, and I mean, I also have to think. I mean, to Robert's creative genius, the ending was another mouth draw jumping. I mean, we were surprised. I think we're okay with the spoiler on this. We all knew that at the end of it, it was Angela all along. Never count Angela out.
But see, here's the thing that not everybody understands. The Angela at the end of Return to Sleepaway Camp is the real Angela. The killer at the end of the original Sleepaway Camp was actually Peter.
Yep.
Oh.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of people just think that, because, it's a franchise following up one after another, that, oh, it's supposed to be Angela, the same killer. But no, actually, Robert had written it so that this is the real Angela. And I think a few things could have been done to make that a little bit more apparent so that people got it a little bit more. But that's really the way it's supposed to be.
So Angela survived the boating accident?
Right. Yep.
Guess who survived the boating accident?
The real Angela.
Interesting.
Yep.
I mean, for one thing, I gotta say, in the Sleepaway Camp, I can think of, as a fan, some great theories that would make great spin-off miniseries. How about, I would say, for one of them, Aunt Martha, how she, I mean, in which we are definitely going to be getting into this as well. Her name, the actress who played Aunt Martha, she was great in Sleepaway Camp. Her name is Desiree Gold. Unfortunately, she has passed away this year. So I also wanted to give out our comments to them and have a little tribute to Desiree Gold as well. I think she played a great, Aunt Martha was just the greatest character. I mean, yes, like, when you can see her, she was like kind of like crazy, a little kooky, not all the way out there, but that was the character. And then we can see like, oh my God, she had like in this mind too, that she wanted a girl, but like who would do that? And that Aunt Martha. And she played it well. I think she was one of the most artistic part of the film. What do you guys think for Desiree Gould? Jeff, have you and Amy, have you met her in like at a convention or?
No, unfortunately, I have not.
Yeah, I was actually good friends with her. I set her up to do a couple conventions, and you know, the Blu-ray and all that. I produced it, and I actually went out and shot her interview with her in New York.
We're here on the set of the Sleepaway Camp Blu-ray, and I'm here with Aunt Martha herself, and we just did a really great interview.
I already had a boy. Another boy simply would not do.
You know, I don't know if Aunt Martha was really described. It was just, she was wacky, and Robert told me that he wanted my speech, if I remember correctly, it was a long time ago, to be somewhat slanted.
So yeah, I've known her since the late 90s, when kind of like when the website first started. She was one of the first ones who we found, and she's just a great person. She was always fun to be around, and the fans loved her. I mean, I remember when we did the Sleepaway Camp reunion in New York City, and what happened was each cast member was called out individually, and you know, everybody got great applause. You know, it was the first time that people were seeing any of these people in the flesh. But when they called Desiree Gould Aunt Martha out there, everybody went nuts. I mean, she got the biggest applause of everybody. She was so thrilled and gratified by it. And I'm just thrilled that she was able to meet the fans and experience that.
It's a great experience to get to do those shows, those you know, the cons. There's nothing like it, because these people they're so into it and they appreciate it so much for just what it is.
Yeah, they love everything about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They know more than any of us know.
Right. They come in and they have all these, you know, alternate theories and this and that, and then oh wow.
But I mean, just the pure gratitude that they have for these films is just amazing to me, because they just love it for what it is, and you know, not because it's anything else.
Yeah. A lot of times the fans will ask, does this person still talk to this person, or does that person still talk to that person? And it's like, they might not even actually seen each other since the movie was made.
Totally. Yeah.
Like, I don't think anybody's seen Pamela since the movies were made.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Unfortunately, I mean, that would be great if she decided to come out of the woodwork, because I know the fans would go nuts over that.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times I've been asked if she's gonna come back out, you know.
Well, in 2 years, it'll be the 40th anniversary of the first film. So we're gonna, Jeff, I'm looking at you. We got to do the dig.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think the next, you know, people ask me, are you going to put together another reunion? You're going to do another reunion? And it's like, you know what? If I do put together another one, I think I want it to be an all-inclusive reunion. I don't want it to just be part one. I don't want it to just be part three. You know, it's got to be people from every movie. Because when we did that first reunion and people got to see, I think we had 8 or 9 people from the first movie at that show. And it was just pandemonium. Everybody, I mean, people were going nuts, because you don't get to see that many people all from one movie. But now imagine that many, you know, people from all 4 movies.
I have an idea.
You know, it was when we did the one here, it was a few people from 2, a few people from 3, and then Felicia, Rose, but I mean, the fans went nuts. they went nuts for the lot of us being together.
Yep.
It was great.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. You know, we get a group of like 10 people, one, you know, a couple people from every movie. I think it would be one of the biggest reunions you'd find.
That'd be awesome.
I think I have an idea for this, how like a reunion type of weekend. You rent out a camp, like a sleepaway camp, because you know a lot of these camps, and I do know this, they rent them out for like weekend retreats. I think it can definitely be done. Have like all the actors or whoever wanted to come up here to pay for like that experience, to like sleep in the bunks and like do those activities, and not only just that, have the all the cast members also interact, do those activities as well, and do all those type of activities. I think it would be great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would be epic.
Yeah, they do that with Friday the 13th. The original camp from Friday the 13th. I know they're doing tours there now, and they'll bring in usually like 3 or 4 people from the first movie, and I hear that the tours are really huge.
Wow.
Not to mention where Thomas is located, they have an experience of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where you can stay in like where the films were made.
Yeah, I've actually been to the gas station a couple times.
Where was Camp Arawak filmed? Like the actual location? Was that
Glens Falls, New York. I know it's like somewhere up in the Lake George area in Glens Falls, New York.
It wasn't called Camp Algonquin?
Yep. And that camp, Robert Hiltzik actually went to that camp as a kid.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's where he came up with the original idea for that. And I thought that's pretty interesting that he would go back to that as an adult and make a slasher movie there.
Welcome to Sleepaway Camp.
As much as I mean, as much as that is like, how many times I've been to Lake George and I've been to that area. Unfortunately, like all that area is private area. The camp is no more for where they've gone. I mean, the grounds are still there, but I don't think the camp is active anymore.
Yeah, actually, it was knocked down because they were going to put condos there. So the whole area was raised, and then they never ended up putting the condos there. What a waste.
Well, yeah, the location here in Georgia, in West Georgia, it's all grown over and private property, and there were some fans that have ventured out just to get pictures and stuff, and you can see some of the bones of some of the buildings, and I think the pool is still there, but it's full of gross stuff.
Some of the oatmeal.
Yeah, the oatmeal, exactly.
Yeah, I saw some of the photos. I think there's a video on YouTube that shows the camp, what's left of it. Somebody stole a door to one of the old cabins or something.
If they can get in there without getting shot, then they usually steal something.
Who is it that's out there that's, trying to kill all these people?
Probably I mean,
the hills have eyes.
They do. They do. People are really protective of their property and what they own, and if they know people are going to come trekking along, they're in their deer stand with their rifle, and they won't think twice about trying to scare people off. So
yeah, because I've heard that about a couple different fans who wanted to go out there into that area, and there's some hostile locals.
Yes. I'm not surprised.
So I mean, I would not dare try and do that. I mean, to the ones that are brave enough to, good luck to them. But the thing is, here on Nostalgia Time, I wouldn't recommend that. Safety first, everyone.
Right. Don't try this at home.
Well, actually, also, Jeff, the camp that was filmed for Return to Sleepaway Camp, is that still an active camp today?
Yeah, I believe it is. It's actually a huge camp. It's in it's right on the New York Pennsylvania border, a place called Camp Starlight. And it's humongous. I couldn't believe it when I first went out there. The first day I drove up and just saw how many cabins there were, and there's like a cabin for everything. It's one of the biggest camps I've ever seen.
Camp Starlight, huh? Well,
Yep.
for the ones that, I guess, to the ones that have been to Camp Starlight, you can say, hey, I went to camp where Return to Sleepaway Camp was filmed. They filmed a slasher film there. That would be a great experience. Well, actually, for what it is, it was established in 1947. It is a pretty nice camp.
Road trip.
Guys, excuse me just for a second. I gotta get a charger. My phone's gonna die, so I'm gonna leave you with one of my tarantulas for a minute.
No worries.
We'll interview him.
Were you in Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
I think it was probably from arachnophobia.
Yeah.
So with this, I'm just gonna be putting it out there that I mean, I hope for whatever that Robert is going, I want to hopefully to keep the franchise alive. Hey, maybe with that nice little spin-off series of Aunt Martha. And I would call it Aunt Martha and Angela.
Or
I've actually met Desiree Gold myself.
Oh,
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out.
cool.
Yeah.
What was that at a horror convention?
Yeah, that was actually at Monster Mania. It was actually the second Sleepaway Camp reunion that Jeff put together. Thank you for that, Jeff. Yeah, so I got to meet her, and she was such a nice woman. I mean, like, I just remember when I went up for a picture with her, she came right out and hugged me.
Oh,
Yeah, so she's a nice woman. And I also remember, like, later that day, Jeff wanted to film some videos for the website. And so, like, I, of course, wanted to be part of that. And so when Jeff went to, like, film some stuff, since I was standing right next to her, we decided to, like, film a video with her. And so it was really nice to film the video with her. And, like, I even remember, like, right at the end, I actually asked her, like, will she be in another Sleepaway Camp movie? And she actually said yes.
no.
Yeah.
Is
So,
is that video on YouTube?
I know there's clips from the Sleepaway Camp reunion too, and Thomas is in, I believe, one of the clips. I don't think that particular clip is on there, but I know I have it somewhere in my archives. And I'm gonna dig that thing out so that you can either put that on this or some future Sleepaway Camp thing.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me film with her, Jeff.
That's cool.
Before we give our closing, I mean, I do want to say Sleepaway Camp is one of the greatest films, and we are now to give first a nice toast to the Sleepaway Camp franchise. I hope I think there's going to be a bright future. There's so much creativity, and I hope that the studios pick up. I hope to see either a reboot in either a series form or even another film, and I'll be in the first in line. I would love to be an extra. I would travel down to be an extra. Put me in as a camper. Put me in as a counselor.
Yeah.
Or even like put me in for a scene where I die. I agree with that too.
I think the idea really is to try to do like a series, like a limited series, like maybe 6 or 8 episodes. Because Robert's actually kind of taken the script and, you know, kind of weaved it out over 6 or 8 different stories so that it could be done that way. So I'm gonna need a lot of fresh blood around. So
Probably be good for Shudder.
Yeah.
Maybe. Do I get to actually burn this time?
Yeah, this time everybody's gonna get to see you on fire.
Let's see. Thomas, do you want to die in Sleepaway Camp?
Sure. I would love to.
Yeah. Bring it on.
Randy, do you want to die in Sleepaway Camp?
Absolutely. I think that would be an honor. A career highlight.
Yeah. Like, just some of those most creative deaths of all time.
Jeff, do you want to die in Sleepaway Camp in the films?
Well, as long as I'm an old man and I'm in a bunk, sleeping when it happens, then I'm okay with it.
And of course, Amy, you would love to die again.
Oh, yes. Many times. The
He's
camper
getting
that would
grilled.
never die.
That is awesome. So before I close up, we're gonna do two things. First, we're gonna do another toast to Sleepaway Camp. Again,
Yay.
may the future live on, and we to Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
And now for one other closing thing, and actually I'm so excited for this part because we closed out the episode, the first when we did it the last year of singing the Happy Camper song, and we're going to do it again, and I'm so excited.
No.
To do it. Amy, that you're joining
Amy
us
actually
today.
sang the Happy Camper song in the movie.
No.
Oh, come on, Amy.
Okay.
Looking up the lyrics because I'm a little rusty.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, Lord.
I know the lyrics by heart.
All right.
Wait, are you going to do the Shit Sisters version?
I don't have any pot. So I'm not sure that I can. And besides, I was not allowed to sing it.
Really?
Yes. If you look, when the cuss words come in, Carol is doing the singing, not me.
Ah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I wasn't even supposed to cuss or anything. It was like, really? You guys take all the fun out of this.
Well, now you can.
Now I can. I'll have to learn the words again.
Make up for lost time.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll bring it back
so
in the new series.
Yes. It's the opening theme.
Absolutely.
As sung by Amy.
Yeah.
Yay.
So are we ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
In 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm a happy camper.
I
I
love
love the summer sun.
Gosh, I don't
I
remember.
love
the
trees and
forests.
I'm
Always
always
having
fun.
fun. Oh, I'm a happy camper.
I love
the
clear
clear
blue sky.
And
Terrible.
I'm gonna be a camper
until
till
I
I die.
I die.
I think we're a little bit off, but that's okay. That's
Oh,
fine.
yes.
Yep.
Pamela would be
But-
proud.
But literally, like it is, and it just shows from that movie, everyone camped until they died. I want to thank my guests for coming on to Nostalgia Time for me first. My guest of honor tonight, Jeff Hayes, the webmaster of the Sleepaway Camp official website. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for this experience. I had such a great time, and I hope to have you on again, even for another topic next time.
Sounds good.
And also, Amy Fields, thank you. It was just a pleasure to talk with you and for your experience. Thank you so much for your time this evening. I know we had some schedule difficulties from the first time, but
Oh, no big deal. That's show business, honey.
thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you so much for inviting me. I had a great time, and I love doing all this stuff, and it's so much fun to revisit. Not too many people get a chance to do that, so I'm blessed. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. You're always welcome on Nostalgia Time anytime.
Cool.
I also like to thank my guest, my good friend and co-host, and also the host of Unger the Radar, Randy Unger. Thank you for coming on. And just to let you know, Unger the Radar is on every Monday at 11 a.m. on the Manhattan Neighborhood Network on the Lifestyles channel. So please take a look. What do you have coming up this week on Unger the Radar, Randy?
This week, we have a couple of reviews. We're going to be reviewing this new drama starring Elijah Wood called No Man of God.
Ted Bundy.
Yeah, Elijah Wood plays an attorney who basically bonds with Ted Bundy, and that's exciting. Also, this very strange, surreal musical film called Annette, starring Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard. So those two films. Also a documentary by the name of The Seer and the Unseen, which is about basically these hippies who believe in elves and are trying to save a sacred land from being demolished and built up by a construction company. So they basically want to save this community of elves. It's a very strange film, but we sort of, I guess. Yeah. I think that's more entertaining, but yeah. It's going to be an interesting episode this week, but yeah, if you want to check it out, it'll be, like Matt said, every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. So check that out.
And also my good guest and fan and horror buff fan, I hope to have him on for Horror Month. We're going to be planning this very soon. Thomas Pugliese, thank you for, I'm glad to have you back. And also for this, I will be announcing this. Thomas, you will be hosting a show on Nostalgia Time in Horror Month.
Oh, that sounds great, man.
Surprise.
Yep.
So we'll be planning this show come later in the month to be brought out in October, and I hope it's going to be a blast. And also coming next on up on Nostalgia Time, we'll be talking about, because we're going back to school, we'll be talking about Animal House in our next episode. So please be sure to listen to that one. Thank you very much. I am Matthew Habermann, known aka Kid Champagne, signing off.